argue or fight just do this to make the narcissist suffer and regret having a relationship with you. Let's discuss the topic of avoiding conflict with a narcissist. There are several effective strategies that can be employed once you understand that a narcissist primarily operates through their false self and resides in a fictitious world. This understanding simplifies the process of creating distance between yourself and them. You recognize that you're engaging in a conversation with an individual whose beliefs have no basis in reality. Therefore, arguing with them becomes irrational. It's akin to debating with a young child, as expending your patience on them is futile due to their limited understanding and immature emotional state. Similarly, conversing with a narcissist becomes a futile endeavor. This comprehension allows you to emotionally detach from the situation. Having no expectations helps you maintain composure when dealing with someone exhibiting significant narcissistic traits. You understand that investing your emotions in such interactions won't be fruitful because the narcissist lacks empathy and regards your feelings as essentially inconsequential. Sharing your emotions with a narcissist is like giving them a tray of gold. The valuable sentiments you offer are highly likely to go to waste. By maintaining composure, detachment, and a lack of expectations, you can more effectively manage your interactions. Recognizing that you're dealing with an individual displaying narcissistic characteristics allows you to employ communication strategies that mitigate the risk of an intense confrontation. Interacting with someone who exhibits strong narcissistic tendencies, unaware of their nature, can be exceedingly frustrating. When you possess empathy and compassion, you hope for a response or, at the very least, a meeting halfway when you express your feelings. Being open to understanding what someone else is saying is a sign of emotional well-being. It can be painful when mutual understanding remains elusive despite your desire to communicate and comprehend the other person. However, once you acknowledge that you are interacting with someone with pronounced narcissistic traits, you can lower your expectations and emotionally detach, understanding that a genuine connection is unlikely. This makes it easier to maintain a composed demeanor. You have agency over your actions. Your reactions are not dictated by your emotions because they are not entangled. You are highly critical, analytical, and perceptive of your surroundings. Therefore, maintaining emotional equilibrium becomes achievable as you have control over this aspect. This situation is reminiscent of the saying, casting pearls before swine. You are wiser than to give precious gifts to individuals who do not value them. You refrain from revealing your emotions and bestowing upon others what they have not earned or do not require. Your emotions are extremely valuable. They serve as a vessel for expressing your deepest feelings, including both distress and a desire to resolve a complex matter. Sharing your innermost thoughts and emotions with another person is a beautiful act. However, your emotional honesty may be exploited in the presence of someone with pronounced narcissistic qualities, leaving you vulnerable to emotional manipulation. It's similar to sharing your spiritual wounds with the hope of being seen, heard, and establishing a profound connection. Instead, the narcissist exploits your vulnerabilities rather than attempting to understand you. They employ a typical maneuver. Hence, it is essential to exercise caution. A preventive measure against giving away your precious pearls to individuals who won't appreciate them is to be well informed. Once you become aware of the situation, you won't easily fall into their manipulative games. Recognizing that a narcissist lacks the capacity to truly listen to you liberates you from the need to plead for their understanding. When you acknowledge that you're interacting with someone displaying pronounced narcissistic traits, it becomes easier to ignore irrelevant aspects of the conversation and focus on the matter that needs resolution. Narcissists often attempt to deflect attention, insult, manipulate, and change the subject, deriving amusement from your distress. After realizing that dealing with a narcissist is like handling a prickly porcupine, it's clear that trying to handle them is not a wise course of action. Stay within your personal space and concentrate on the issue at hand. This approach significantly helps in preventing a conflict or confrontation with the narcissist. You can interact with a narcissist without becoming destabilized or drawn into their chaos, at least in the shared physical space and time, even if your relationship with them may never feel entirely harmonious. So, how should you approach a problem involving someone with pronounced narcissistic characteristics? Try initiating sentences with "we" instead of "I think," such as, "I think you are wrong," or "I think you are a narcissist." For instance, maybe we can find a solution to this. Maybe we can work on this together, or maybe we can avoid this issue in the future. Suggesting that we can handle things together or meet to discuss the matter may prove more effective, considering that narcissists often struggle to be impartial and take responsibility for their actions. This approach can enhance your self-control and emotional stability when dealing with someone who refuses to acknowledge their actions. As previously mentioned, the objective here is to understand how to avoid getting entangled in conflicts with a narcissist and their chaos. This can be challenging because it requires recognizing that the relationship you're dealing with is a pseudo-relationship, not a genuine one. You're conversing with an individual who isn't firmly grounded in reality, but exists in a fantasy world. However, if you need to interact with this individual and don't want to continue being thrown off balance, it's crucial to develop strategies for maintaining control. Keep a straightforward approach and focus on objective facts when dealing with a narcissist. This can help prevent unnecessary disputes or confrontations. When interacting with a narcissist, remember that their primary goal is to maintain dominance. They often aim to destabilize, ensnare, and provoke a reaction from you. First and foremost, avoid falling for their bait. You can maintain your composure by not reacting defensively to their insults or shutting down. Stand upright with your shoulders back, acknowledge the gravity of the current situation, and resolve not to be deeply affected by their words. Keep your composure and redirect the conversation to its intended objective. Are we discussing rules for children? Are we addressing a work-related deadline? Or are we deciding how many pastries a kindergarten class needs? Stay focused on resolving the current issue. Continuously steer the discussion back on track to achieve that goal. It's wise to avoid displaying signs of anxiety, such as excessive blinking or fidgeting. Although these behaviors may seem trivial, they can signal to the narcissist that your discomfort has been noticed, potentially prompting them to escalate their tactics. This is especially important to maintain your dignity and integrity when children are present. If your children are witnessing the interaction, it's crucial to exhibit dignified and respectful behavior. Remember that the person you're conversing with resides in a fantasy world and seeks control. When they feel less challenged, their tendency to react aggressively diminishes. With someone displaying high levels of narcissistic traits, your aim is to create an interaction environment that is neither abrasive nor confrontational. Interacting with a narcissist can indeed be a formidable challenge. Narcissists often use threats of abandonment as a tactic to instill fear, exert control, intimidate, or manipulate others into complying with their wishes. This may involve giving up one's preferred course of action, surrendering one's thoughts, or forsaking one's stance. Therefore, it is crucial to recognize the importance of maintaining your composure. This means holding on to your beliefs and desires regardless of the narcissist's words or actions. You don't need to defend them in person, nor do you need to argue for them. Just hold on to them. Similar to clutching a small Buddha statue within yourself, this entails clinging to reality despite the narcissist's words or actions. Your inner strength can act as a stabilizing force during challenging interactions. The scenario described in your client's account is typical of interactions with narcissists. Her narcissistic ex-spouse was displeased when she expressed an interest in returning to school, as it signaled her pursuit of independence, threatening his control over her, and challenging his fantasy of absolute financial dominance. At that moment, when his fantasy collided with the reality of her educational aspirations, he became increasingly aggressive. His attempts to thwart her efforts significantly hindered her pursuit of higher education. Fortunately, she persevered and returned to school despite the obstacles. When dealing with an individual displaying extreme narcissistic traits, it's important to remember the significance of maintaining your dignity and integrity. Ideally, we would avoid all interactions with narcissists. However, when circumstances beyond our control, such as shared children or work-related matters, necessitate interaction, maintaining composure and self-assurance becomes crucial. Certainly, it would be ideal to never have to deal with individuals who exploit our vulnerabilities. In reality, though, this is not always possible. Sometimes we need a set of skills and tools to navigate our daily lives, especially when interacting with people exhibiting extreme narcissistic traits. It's crucial to maintain your composure, even when faced with a narcissistic boss who ridicules you or brings up past mistakes while discussing a deadline. Learn to stay calm and avoid giving them the satisfaction of seeing you upset. Redirect the conversation back to the matter at hand. What's your suggestion regarding the upcoming deadline? Keep the focus on the deadline and continue redirecting them regardless of their response. By consistently returning to the initial question or topic, you can effectively maintain control over the conversation and steer it toward its intended goal. Will this method work every time? No, but it can help you manage these challenging interactions more effectively. You're absolutely right. Individuals who must interact with those displaying high levels of narcissistic traits may benefit from understanding their mindset and motivations. This knowledge enables you to navigate such interactions more effectively and safeguard your emotional well-being. Specifically, individuals struggling with feelings of abandonment or inadequacy and who are codependent are vulnerable to exploitation by narcissists. Narcissists often trigger these feelings of abandonment, compelling you to seek their approval despite your clear desire for it. Narcissists commonly exhibit arrogance and a sense of superiority over others, while codependents frequently undervalue themselves in comparison. They often strive to feel adequate by appeasing the narcissist or another authority figure who can validate them. Understanding this dynamic is crucial for codependents interacting with narcissists, as it empowers them to break free from this destructive cycle and work towards building healthier relationships based on equality and mutual respect. Today, I want to express my sincere gratitude for your presence here. We hope that the information we shared has provided you with valuable insights on dealing with narcissistic personalities while preserving your dignity and self-worth. Keep in mind that the first step toward change is understanding. If you found this content helpful, we kindly ask for your support by liking our video and subscribing to our channel. This way, you can access more discussions on similar topics. Don't forget to enable notifications so you never miss one of our updates. We welcome your feedback and personal experiences in the comments section below. We highly value the contributions of our community. Stay strong and continue to carry yourself with dignity and integrity until our next encounter. What happens when a narcissist realizes you have discovered their cruelty? While they may have a vague sense that something is wrong, comprehending the full extent of the situation often eludes them. They remain unaware of the manipulation they're subjected to, attributing the individual's behavior to a severe mental disorder. Driven by their own emotional confusion and this lack of insight, they frequently become entangled in the narcissist's web. They endure mistreatment while concealing their true feelings. In some cases, they attempt to compensate by overextending themselves in the relationship or offering praise to the narcissist in the hopes of rectifying the situation. Unfortunately, these efforts prove futile. Some may even try therapy, either with the narcissist or for themselves, believing it might address the issue. Regrettably, none of these actions bring them any closer to unraveling the true nature of the situation. However, there are those who eventually have an epiphany. They come to understand, at the very least, that they are dealing with a narcissist, a chronic abuser, manipulator, and deceiver who is causing them substantial distress. This realization often occurs after enduring an extended devaluation phase, particularly for primary intimate partners who have gone through numerous cycles of being devalued. Secondary intimate partners or individuals involved in covert affairs may grasp this truth more rapidly due to their deeper emotional involvement in the relationship. Whether you find yourself entangled as a secondary partner in a covert affair or as a primary intimate partner, a family member, friend, colleague, or neighbor with no intimate involvement, it's highly likely that you'll eventually recognize that you are dealing with a narcissist or someone who consistently brings turmoil into your life. What comes next in this situation? In contrast to the previously mentioned scenario, let's explore an alternative approach. If you successfully navigate the challenges outlined earlier, you might choose to directly confront the narcissist, labeling them as such and exposing their manipulative, abusive, and deceitful behavior. What happens when the narcissist realizes that you fully grasped their true nature? This is a crucial point. Most narcissists are not aware that you have unveiled their authentic self. In fact, they are often oblivious to it themselves. The majority of narcissists fall into one of two categories. They are either unaware or moderately aware of their own behavior. They don't think, "I acknowledge that I'm a narcissist, and this person has now identified me. Even though I'm aware that I manipulate, lie, and mistreat others, what's my next move now that they've discovered my true self?" They fundamentally lack insight into their own character. Hence, when directly accused of being a narcissist or manipulator, they are usually taken aback, shocked, and appalled by this revelation. Some individuals may find this hard to believe due to their limited understanding of narcissism, emotional reasoning, and the perspective from which they approach the situation, rather than that of the narcissists. It is crucial to understand that most narcissists genuinely do not perceive themselves as abusive and manipulative, even if labeled as such. They are not intentionally concealing their true nature while pretending it doesn't exist. Now, in the case of the rare self-aware narcissists, they do understand and acknowledge that you have unveiled their identity. This is a unique situation. Nonetheless, whether you accuse an unaware or self-aware narcissist, they will consistently respond with denial. Their immediate reaction would be, "No, I'm not a narcissist." "What are you talking about?" That's utterly absurd. This denial serves to neutralize the threat your accusation poses to their perceived authority. If the individual continues to refute allegations of narcissism, including being a liar and manipulator, their narcissistic behavior will ultimately guide them to employ alternative manipulation tactics. When confronted, narcissists can respond in various ways, including withdrawal, denial of your accusations, or even launching counter-accusations against you. To silence you, they may resort to physical aggression or engage in complex, ambiguous monologues aimed at discrediting your claims. A moderately self-aware narcissist might occasionally respond with statements like, "I can understand why you might see me as a narcissist," or "I can see how you arrived at that conclusion and why it concerns you." However, it's crucial to note that these responses do not constitute an admission of guilt. Some individuals may go further, saying, "While I do recognize certain similarities, I don't believe it's entirely accurate, or even I can see why you hold that opinion. There are times when my behavior may appear that way. Maybe I need help." Nevertheless, research suggests that these admissions are not genuine. They serve as manipulation tactics used by moderately self-aware narcissists who feign remorse and compassion while promising change, a promise that often proves to be empty. In any case, these specific types of narcissists do not readily acknowledge or embrace your understanding of their true nature. Instead, they primarily rely on denial as their initial line of defense and utilize further manipulative strategies to counter your insights. Accusing a narcissist doesn't automatically lead to the termination of the relationship. If you're a secondary source rather than their primary intimate partner, they might put you on pause or place you on the shelf. The critical factor is how your behavior changes after you become aware of your association with a narcissist, not the accusation itself. Regardless of their level of self-awareness, lesser or mid-range, or degree, greater or ultra, the narcissist will sense that something is amiss if your behavior undergoes a significant shift. Repetitively accusing a lesser or mid-range narcissist, even if it seems to stroke their ego, can be perceived as a challenge to their dominance, motivating them to act to regain control. On the other hand, if you refrain from complying with the narcissist's demands or deviate from the expected patterns of interaction, they will take notice of these changes in your behavior. For example, in the past, you might have chased after the narcissist when they gave you the silent treatment, asking them to open up or come back. However, discontinuing these actions signals a significant departure from your typical responses. Modifying your behavior has a more profound impact on the narcissist compared to merely accusing them of narcissism. Accusing them, but continuing to engage with them in the same way won't disrupt them much, because you're still providing them with the control, attention, and validation they crave. While your initial accusation does challenge their control and prompts a response, it eventually becomes irrelevant once they re-establish that control. Only exceptionally self-aware, greater or ultra, narcissists would acknowledge your recognition of their true nature. Lower range or mid-range narcissists usually employ different compartmentalization strategies and are unlikely to openly admit that you're aware of their narcissism. The real challenge lies in changing your behavior over time. You can decide to level accusations against the narcissist, stop complying with their demands, or simply respond differently. This includes reducing the attention they receive, consistently questioning their authority, and withholding certain privileges they once enjoyed. An extremely self-aware, greater or ultra, narcissist might realize that your changed behavior indicates that you've identified them. A lesser or mid-range narcissist may not consciously grasp this, but they will instinctively feel that something is amiss due to your persistent challenges. As a secondary source, you might undergo a short devaluation phase, followed by neglect as the narcissist shifts their focus to someone else. If you're the primary intimate partner, the devaluation intensifies, and the narcissist may attempt to regain control before allowing a respite. If these tactics fail to restore your behavior to their preferred standards, they might sever ties with you. Your changed behavior signifies a significant and potentially enduring challenge to their dominance, prompting them to disengage entirely from you. Secondary intimate partners may experience extended neglect, followed by a Hoover attempt to reconnect when it suits the narcissist. Over time, your behavior might eventually return under their control, either naturally or through a new approach by the narcissist, realigning your responses with their desires once more. If this occurs, and your altered behavior doesn't persist, the situation will revert to the state desired by the narcissist. In essence, when a narcissist becomes aware of your ability to perceive their traits, whether intentionally or unintentionally, their initial response is to attempt to regain control over you. Typically, this realization is accompanied by an accusatory statement and, most crucially, a change in behavior. If the narcissist cannot reassert control, they are likely to sever all ties with you as their primary intimate partner, or place you on the shelf for an extended period if you are a secondary source. This is the typical course of events.